What is up guys, and welcome back to another video. My name's Will and I make an assortment of music under the moniker Hush Child. Today I want to give you 3 tips that will instantly transform your mix. These are talking points that I often cover in my Patreon one-to-ones, but I don't hear spoken of too often in the YouTube landscape. Let's dive into it. Okay, I want to start this video off with my most favorite point. This is something that I look out for anytime I'm giving feedback to a client's track. It's called the Phil Collins moment. Let me explain. Phil Collins has a song called In the Air Tonight, and anytime you ask somebody about In the Air Tonight, you'll see them go like this. Bum 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 bum. That is by far the most famous part of that song. If you put that song on in a party environment, you would see people go to mime that drum fill almost every other bar. But the magic moment doesn't occur until 3 minutes and 16 seconds into the song, and it only happens once. In today's landscape, what you want to aim for is to have mini In the Air Tonight moments throughout your piece of music. Now, obviously, if you have a minimal down-tempo piece of music, it wouldn't suit the vibe to have a huge drum fill just in the middle there. But you could have a break in the groove to which you introduce a new instrument. Or you could have your synth get extra wide or automate effects that only occur once in the song. You want to create little special moments throughout your song so that the listener is inclined to keep going back and giving it just one more spin. Something else that I ask a lot of artists when I'm sitting down critiquing their track is, where do you want your instruments to sit in this space? This makes sense to a lot of producers that have maybe come from a live background. If you played guitar in a garage band, think about the sound inside that garage, the reverberation off of the walls, and just how loud that snare is. And now imagine that same band playing inside a church or out in the park. That reverberation and loudness of certain instruments is going to be different in each of the environments. So when you create your music inside the DAW, think about where you want your music to sit in conjunction to the listener. Think about depth. How close to the music or individual instruments do you want your listener to be? How far apart do you want those instruments to be? And here's a bonus tip too. Often we get stuck in the loop, and when we add a new instrument, it's already the loudest thing in the mix because we think that was the secret sauce. Do your listener a favor, and when you're in the mixing process, take that instrument all the way out and then bring it up from floor level. You'll often find a sweet spot that was quieter than you originally had it, that sits in the mix way better. So here's my final tip. Remember this, your audience wants to be surprised but not caught off guard. What I mean by this is the difference between a professional track and a novice track is normally the fact that they have tiny little atmospherics, rises and sweeps that indicate to the listener that a change is coming in the song. It's the difference between this and this. Having a sweeping riser up to a reverberous snare, a quick break, and then diving into the chorus is what your listener expects, even though they might be surprised by the groove and the melody. But going from a minimalistic piece of music to your much larger section of music can often catch that listener off guard. They're suddenly having to process a lot of instruments all at the same time, which they weren't expecting. So they're my 3 tips that can drastically change your mix without very much effort at all. What are the things that you bear in mind when you're creating your music? I'd love to know. Let's have a discussion in the comments. Thanks so much for stopping by, and don't forget that our beat battle is going down on Twitch this Saturday. So hopefully I'll see you there. If not, I'll catch you next time.